Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be ranking the ghosts from worst to best, starting with the 24th spot going all the way to the first spot. I feel like I don't see this much on YouTube and I wanted to make a list myself. I've seen tier lists, but I wanted to actually rank the ghosts from 24th place to first place. There's going to be a couple of rules in this video that I'm going by in order to be ranking all of these ghosts. This includes how annoying they are with evidence and without evidence, and how much I actually enjoy playing against these ghosts. So all of those things will be factored into my rankings. I would also like to make it clear that this is a personal list. If someone doesn't agree with my rankings, I'm sorry. Share what you would change in the comments. I also want to note that I have around 2,000 hours in this game, so I have enough experience to properly rank the ghosts based off of my own personal opinion and based off of how the ghost acts in games. If you like the video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I would love to hear what you guys think about my rankings or where you would rank all of these ghosts. So with that being said, let's get into what I believe to be the worst ghost in this game and by far my least favorite. Number 24, Goryo. Goryos are by far the most annoying ghost to me and to a lot of people because during no evidence runs, there is just no way to figure out it's a Goryo, other than the fact that it can't change rooms, and sometimes I swear it still does change rooms. This has been really annoying for me, and I absolutely hate playing against a Goryo. Even on evidence runs, the only way you can see dots is if you have a camera and nobody can be in the room while you are looking for it, and overall, it's just really annoying. And Goryos just don't seem to work as they should. I don't think there's ever been a game where I have enjoyed it being a Goryo, and it's one of the few ghosts that I still get wronged on no evidence runs, just based off the fact that there really is no way to determine it's a Goryo other than waiting forever to see if it changes rooms. At least the next few ghosts I'm going to mention have a way to determine it's that ghost, but a Goryo does not. They've had to add several different updates for a Goryo and it still doesn't work right, so this probably doesn't come to a surprise for a lot of you, but just me personally, I cannot stand this ghost. Number 23, Yurei. A Yurei is another annoying ghost to get because there is only one way to determine it and no evidence runs. Even if I'm playing something like Nightmare Mode, I end up determining it by eliminating the other options the majority of the time. It has one ability that drains 15% of your sanity, and sometimes you don't even know it happened. In order to see this ability, you have to be pretty close by, and there has to be a door close by. It can slam a door really fast, and if you're not looking at it, you probably won't figure out it's a Yurei. There is another way you can identify its ability in most maps because it does a double door touching ability that if you know what you're listening for, you can identify it. However, I don't think this is supposed to be part of the game. I think this is a glitch. The new upgraded map, Bleasdale Farmhouse, does not have the double door touching ability, and the only way to find it is to be looking at the doors when it happens. If you have a ghost room that doesn't have a door or the room is too big, good luck figuring this out, especially on no evidence runs. There's no ability during a hunt, and it's overall just a boring ghost. Many times in no evidence runs, I get stuck between a Yurei and a Goryo because sometimes Yureis just never use their ability even when you're looking for it. I've had many games where I checked the detailed statistics and it didn't use an ability once in 40 minutes. So it's a little bit better than a Goryo due to the fact that there is a way to identify it. It's just the other ghosts are way better. Number 22, a Shade. Some of you might be surprised that I put a Shade above the other two ghosts that I've already ranked, but to be honest, at least this one is identifiable, and in no evidence runs, it can actually be pretty challenging. The biggest issue with the Shade is that in games when you have a full sanity and all evidence, it is a very boring ghost. You end up sitting in a room just waiting to see if it's going to do anything, and after about 5 minutes, everyone starts to agree that it has to be a Shade. A Shade can't hunt until 35% average team sanity, and 2 of the 3 evidence that you are given, EMF 5 and Ghost Riding, which I've always found funny, because good luck getting those evidences while you're in the ghost room. You have to be outside of it. It's almost like the developers were laughing when they made this ghost, and wanted us to be as annoyed as possible getting the evidences. However, in no evidence runs with 0 sanity, which is the way I like to play a lot, a Shade can literally act like a demon. The only way to determine it's not a Shade is that it can't hunt in the same room as you, so if you're in the ghost room and it's not hunting for a very long time, it's probably a Shade. However, sometimes getting to the ghost room in no evidence runs with 0 sanity can be very difficult, which makes a Shade actually hard to identify sometimes. But without a doubt, when you play the game with evidence and sanity, you end up being so bored that you just have to go with a Shade so you can move on to the next ghost. Number 21, a Spirit. I wouldn't say the Spirit is a horrible ghost like the other 3 overall. I would just say it's a bad ghost. A spirit is the average ghost in the game. I feel like the developers made this ghost before any other ghost, and it sets a standard for what a basic ghost hunt and activity should look like. However, the spirit really isn't that interesting because even though it can still kill you in a hunt, just like any other average ghost, it has a huge weakness. When you smudge the spirit, it can't hunt for 3 minutes instead of 90 seconds like the majority of ghosts in this game. This gives you a lot of time to get stuff done that you still need to get done or to identify that it's a spirit, even if you don't have your evidences. I don't personally hate the spirit, I just don't really like it either. Because if I'm waiting for a hunt after smudging it for some other objectives or something else, it ends up taking way too long. But at least unlike the ghost before it, it's easy to identify and it's not necessarily boring except after smudging it. This will definitely be the foundation for Phasmophobia ghosts, so I have to give it credit for that. Number 20, Mare. The mare has a cool concept to it, and sometimes I feel like it can be a fun ghost. However, it can also be just as annoying to figure out. There are many times that I have guessed a mare correctly based on certain abilities that it has. It has a higher chance to turn off lights or completely destroy the lights in a room. It hunts in the dark at 60% sanity and 40% sanity in the light. The best way to figure out if it's a mare or not is to turn on the light switch in the ghost room over and over again to see if it turns it off instantly. If it does this more than once, it is probably a mare. I'm emphasizing the word probably because all ghosts can do this, and that is what makes a mare so hard to guess correctly on no evidence runs. You can have a ghost break lights, turn off lights, and roam in the dark to start hunts, and it still not be a mare. The best way to determine a mare is to rule out every other ghost if you are playing nightmare mode or even insanity. It's way easier to determine it isn't a mare than to determine it is. The one thing mares cannot do is turn on lights. I have a sigh of relief when I see this happen because I know I'm not going to have to take an educated guess based on how many lights it turns off or breaks in a game. It used to be easier to know it is not a mare because in the past, they also couldn't turn off TVs, computers, or lamps. But for some reason, the devs changed that, turning an already hard ghost to figure out into an even harder one. Honestly, the reason I have mare listed above the previous ghost is because they can be kind of terrifying, and it is nice to have a challenge and no evidence runs. The mare does at least a good job of giving you that for your games. Number 19, Banshee. Banshees are a fun ghost to play against with friends. It only targets one person at a time and will not target anyone else. It's funny to see someone freak out because the Banshee is only roaming towards them and doing a lot of events anywhere they go. It used to be that the first person that entered the house was the target for the whole game, which was really annoying. Luckily, the devs changed this to make it so that if everyone leaves the house towards the truck, the target changes to the next person that enters the building. I think this was a good change, and it makes it so that someone who is too scared to go back inside and stays in the truck isn't target the whole game. Banshees have the ability to do more singing ghost events and drain its target's sanity faster than any other players. It is the only ghost that hunts based off of one person's sanity instead of the entire team. Even though there are a lot of positives with the Banshee, I have some issues with it, which is why it is lower on the list for me. The main issue I have is that I like to play single player more than I like to play multiplayer. This causes an issue because there is only one way to fully know you are dealing with a Banshee, and that's through the parabolic microphone. Banshees have a 33% chance to do a Banshee scream in the parabolic, causing me to have to sit there and wait for a screen to happen to rule out. This is overall just boring, and it can be tough for me because usually by the time I'm left with the Banshee as one of the only few options left, I've used the majority of my smudges, ruling all the other ghosts out. To show you how some of my non-evidence games can turn out, these are usually the 4 ghosts I'm left with while I'm struggling to figure it out in single player. I think there are a lot of positives to a Banshee in multiplayer, but it can be an annoyance for me offline, and that is why I feel like I've given it the ranking it deserves. Number 18, Myling. I am starting to get into the ghosts that I would consider decent, even though sometimes I would consider a Myling to be frustrating. The Myling's ability is that during a hunt, it has quieter footsteps than every other ghost. You can only hear it as it gets closer to you, and in some cases, it can be pretty obvious. However, there are also some situations where it can be hard to tell. If it spawns closer to you in the smaller maps, you won't be able to tell that it's a Myling very easily. You have to be able to give it some distance to test for it. The idea is, if your flashlight or other electronics start flickering, you can't hear its footsteps, it most likely will be a Myling. This test doesn't count if it is above you because you will still hear its footsteps and may assume it's not a Myling when then actually it is. Mylings used to give me a lot of trouble because many times I'm not actively listening for it and got it wrong many times in the past. Even though I don't miss it very much now, it caused me a lot of pain in previous years, so I'm giving it a well-deserved spot towards the bottom. Maybe out of spite. Number 17, Onryo. Onryos are fun at times. They make great use of the candles. Firelights, and they have a unique weakness that they can't hunt near a lit candle. The candles essentially act as crucifixes while they are lit. They will start to make the ghost angry, and you'll begin to see it blow out fires like its life depends on it. It'll even blow out your own igniter if you have it out. If a candle is lit by a crucifix and it burns the crucifix, it cannot be an Onryo. However, if it blows out a candle and then hunts, it could very well be an Onryo, but that doesn't guarantee it. You'll need to do a couple of tests, and sometimes it can take a while to figure out if it's an Onryo or not. Onryos do have a powerful strength where they can hunt at 60% sanity if you don't have candles or a crucifix around its ghost room. There is also a test you can run where you put 3 candles around a crucifix, and if it blows out the 3rd candle and hunts, you know it's an Onryo. I do like them, but there is nothing unique to them when they are hunting, which forces you to do a candle test outside of hunts. Even though it is a fun ghost sometimes, it can also be a pain to figure out on larger maps or in larger rooms where you can't cover much ground with candles and crucifixes. Number 16, Yokai. Yokais are honestly a really easy ghost to avoid, and they only hunt at 50% sanity like most ghosts. They have a chance of hunting at 80% sanity if you are talking near the ghost room, so if you are talking with other players through game chat and it hunts really early in the game, it could very well be a yokai. However, this is hard to trigger and rarely ever happens. During hunts, the way you determine it's a yokai is by essentially testing how dumb it is. They are by far the funniest ghosts in Phasmophobia because of how hard it can be to get their attention. People have a lot of fun with yokais, including myself, because you can be close to it with a light on during a hunt and it will completely ignore you. You can also yell at it in game chat and it will still walk the other way. Whenever I know it's a yokai, I like to test to see how much I can get away with before it finally sees me. Not a hard ghost by any means, but it is a fun ghost during hunts. Number 15, Jinn. I think the Jinn is a pretty unique ghost in terms of what it can do. It has the ability that interacts with the breaker and causes you to lose 25% sanity. This can make a Jinn more threatening and cause it to hunt fairly quickly. The Jinn has the ability to turn on the breaker and will likely do so if you do not. The only issue I have with a Jinn is that if the breaker is set to broken on custom settings or the monkey paw breaks it, there is absolutely no way to determine it's a Jinn. Without the breaker, it essentially turns into a harder ghost to determine than a Goryo, because you have to be able to rule out every other ghost on no evidence runs. The Jinn is still a fun ghost though. During hunts with the breaker on, it will sprint towards you fairly fast if it has line of sight. This ability does not work if the breaker is off, and the Jinn will just act like a normal speed ghost. I like what the devs have done with this ghost. I just wish there was a way to figure it out with the breaker broken. Number 14, Poltergeist. The Poltergeist is a much better ghost than it used to be in my opinion. It can throw many items at once and is the only ghost to do that, except for twins in some cases. It also drains a small amount of sanity for each item thrown near you. Before this ghost was updated, you used to have to put together a pile of items in the ghost room to see if it would interact with the pile and throw the items all over the place. Even though you can still do this, now you can wait for a hunt and see how much and how far it throws items. It is really entertaining to watch because it'll throw things like an NFL quarterback throwing a 100-yard touchdown. The only complaint I have about the Poltergeist is that it isn't that much of a threat to you. Sure, it is fun to watch and is overall a fun ghost to interact with, but it just doesn't live up to the ghost above it. I do want to make a disclaimer that we're getting to the point to where it's getting hard to rank these ghosts. I want to remind everyone that this is a personal list and ghosts that I have fun with. So if you don't agree with rankings up to this point, it was really challenging for me to rank from 13 and above. So I hope you still enjoy the next rankings. Number 13, Wraith. I think most people can agree that Wraiths are one of the easiest ghosts to identify. They cannot walk through salt at all. If you have a lot of salt in the ghost room and it's interacting in there and hasn't walked through the salt for several minutes, it is most definitely going to be a Wraith. It also cannot walk through salt during hunts, which is the way I would normally test for them on no evidence runs with 0 sanity. Wraiths are the only ghosts that have the ability to teleport to your location, both during hunts and not during hunts. They also have an ability where they can walk through a door without opening it. Even though wraiths are easy to figure out, they are a deadly ghost during hunts. I've lost track of how many times I've died to a wraith just because of it teleporting to my location and insta-killing me. Overall, a challenging ghost, just well known by everyone and super easy to figure out. Number 12, Phantom. Phantoms are a cool ghost that has the ability to blink a lot less during hunts. You can see here that they almost are invisible for about 2 seconds before reappearing. This can make it difficult to track them during hunts, and if you aren't careful, you can die easily. The only major issue I have with a Phantom is it is so annoying to try to get a photo of them for the objective. I feel like they don't have as many ghost events, and during hunts, it's so hard to capture a photo like a regular blinking ghost. They do have a cool ghost photo effect though, that when you take the photo, they cannot be seen in it, which can also tell you it's a Phantom. It is a fun ghost if you don't have the ghost photo objective. Number 11, Oni. Unlike the Phantom, Onis appear more than a normal blinking ghost. It makes it much easier to take a photo and is a little bit better in my opinion. They also do a lot more ghost events than the other ghosts usually, and it can scare a lot of players. One thing to note is that it cannot do a breath ball event. They do drain people's sanity quicker in events, so keep that in mind if you know you are dealing with an Oni. Overall, a fun ghost. Number 10, the Twins. The Twins are a two-person ghost that can hunt from two separate locations. It has a 50% chance to hunt from the ghost room and a 50% chance to hunt from another random location on the map. Think of the ghost as having really long arms that can reach around the map and interact with things. That is essentially what a twin does. It has a faster ghost and a slower ghost, and you can usually tell the difference between the two fairly quickly. I think the twins are just an overall cool ghost. Number 9, Obake. If I were to rank this ghost before the major update, it would be one of the worst. However, the devs changed the Obake to make it one of the best ghosts in this game. There are two different ways it can be identified. One by seeing a 6-finger fingerprint on the door after it touches it, and two by watching it shapeshift into another ghost during a hunt. The shapeshifting ability is one of the best things to witness during a hunt, and it is a really good upgrade added to this ghost. I have to give credit to where it's deserved. One last thing to note is that an Obake must have ultraviolet as an evidence, and it can only show this evidence 75% of the time, so keep that in mind. Number 8, Diogen. I'm starting to get into the ghosts that I really like, and I wanted to put Diogen higher, but it is just too easy of a ghost to identify and to survive against. But boy is it a fun ghost. Everybody loves getting a Dio and messing around with it. I've been in several multiplayer games where even people who are too scared to come inside hear Dio as a ghost, and they come sprinting in to join the party. Diogens have a couple of abilities and weaknesses that just make it fun. Its strength is you can't hide from it. Even if you are on a bigger map, it will sprint all the way up to you faster than any ghost in this game. However, the weakness is that it is slower than any ghost once it gets to you. Even if you are on 50% player speed and the ghost is on 150% speed, you will still be faster than the Dio. There is also an ability in the Spirit Box that is rare. It does a loud breathing effect, similar to a Banshee Scream, but for the Diogen. One last thing is the Diogen must have Spirit Box as an evidence if you are playing with any evidence at all. Who can't love the Diogen? Number 7, Baroi. This ghost has the ability to curse you through a Spirit Box and must have it as an evidence if there are any evidences turned on, similar to a Diogen. This curse drains your sanity a lot quicker than the rest of the team. If you are playing solo, it will drain your sanity so quickly you won't even realize it's happening until it's too late. Roy's speed is based off of the average sanity, so if your sanity is low or at 0, it will be really fast. They can also speed up while having line of sight. If you are at 0 sanity and the ghost has seen you long enough, it will become faster than the Diogen when it is running to your location. This makes this ghost terrifying at times, and makes for a really challenging and fun no evidence run with 0 sanity, or just a normal game of Nightmare. Number 6, Revenant. The Revenant is well known amongst players as being extremely deadly. It can run super fast towards somebody and kill them before they have time to defend themselves. However, Revenants also have a huge weakness that I feel like is forgotten about. They are incredibly slow if they don't have line of sight. If you smudge a Revenant and hide, you will more than likely survive. That doesn't take away from the fact that I love playing against this ghost. I have just learned to stay away from it once I know it's a Revenant. Many times you can hear it being slow and know that you need to stay away from it except to complete hunting objectives. It is funny when people mistake Revenant for a Dio though. I can't help but laugh when it kills them. Some people say that Revenants have an issue where they aren't as active as other ghosts when it isn't hunting. I haven't seen this issue and have had revenants that are very active in the ghost room. It is like most ghosts and hunts at 50% sanity, but when it does hunt, it can be deadly. And I love this ghost. Number 5, Hantu. Hantus can either be really difficult or really easy, depending on the situation. If the power is on and has been on, it can be really slow in most of the rooms while hunting. It goes based off of room temperature, so if it's cold throughout the house, it'll be a really fast ghost. It also gives itself away if the breaker is off. It has a freezing ghost breath, which is always fun to see in no evidence runs. Hantus can be a really dangerous ghost, especially in the ghost room because the room is always cold. When the breaker is broken, Hantus are just as dangerous as any other fast ghost in the entire game. They also love to shut off the breaker as much as they can, keeping the map as cold as possible. I personally think Hantus have enough detail to them that it deserves to be in the top 5. Number 4, Raiju. Raijus are a very deadly ghost. They can hunt at 65% sanity if any electronics are in or around the ghost room. They speed up significantly when it is in range of equipment and is one of the ghosts that caught me off guard and killed me many times. In order to weaken the Raiju, you have to remove all of your equipment from the map and keep flashlights off while it is hunting. This is hard to do because the slightest mistake can cause it to go from normal speed to almost revenant speed. It is a super challenging ghost to go up against, and if you don't know it is a Raiju before it hunts, it is unlikely you will survive if you are by the ghost room with no smudge sticks. Raijus make any game challenging and fun, and that is why I've given it a high ranking. I want to add that the top 3 ghosts were really tough for me to rank. I absolutely love these ghosts, and putting one above another was very difficult for me to do. They all make gameplay fun for me, and challenge me in any game when I'm up against them. The difference between 3rd place and 1st are so small that in some ways they can be swapped with one another. I'm hoping the Phasmophobia devs consider adding new ghosts to this game, because they have proven that they can make new ghosts that have unique abilities and cause overall fun experiences. Number 3, They. Days can be absolutely terrifying to go up against. They have the ability to hunt at 75% sanity if you haven't found and spent time in the ghost room. Days are very active at first, oftentimes doing several ghost events and interacting with whatever they can around them. What makes they so deadly is that if you haven't found the ghost room, they hunt super early and super fast. They stay full speed throughout the entire hunt, and I have witnessed them kill everyone on my team, including myself, in a matter of seconds. On larger maps, it is difficult to find the ghost room before it is able to hunt, and most people do not initially bring in a smudge stick, causing them to have to try and hide quickly from this Olympic sprinter. On no evidence runs, with 0 sanity, they are very easy to identify, but also hard to survive against on smaller maps just because of how quickly they move around. They can roam the entire map within a few seconds, and surviving against them is challenging, even for more experienced players. Days do have a huge weakness. If you stay in the ghost room for a long period of time, it drains their ability to hunt and their overall speed. They can turn from the fastest ghost in this game to the slowest ghost, even slower than the Deogen. Days also can't speed up during hunts, so once they become slower, they become a lot easier. This is just a solid ghost and was not originally in the release of this game, but was added in a later update, and what a fantastic addition it was. Number 2, the Mimic. I already know I'm going to get a lot of hate for ranking this ghost this high, but to be honest, it's my opinion and I love this ghost. I almost ranked it number 1, but I do think there is one ghost that is just a little bit better. Hear me out. Mimics are horrifying to go up against. Why? Because you have no idea what it is going to do. It eliminates one thing that you can do with every other ghost, and that's preparation for hunts. You can't prepare for a Mimic because it can be any of the ghosts in this game. It can act like a Deogen during one hunt and cause you to think, oh, it's just a Deo. And then when it hunts again, it switches to a Revenant and causes absolute chaos for you and your friends. I know most people hate Mimics because they end up thinking it is a different ghost and lock it in. Then when they leave, they find out it's a Mimic. To me, that's not a good enough excuse to hate the Mimic. You can easily identify a Mimic on no evidence runs by just looking for orbs. It is the only evidence that shows up because it technically isn't even one of the evidences. It's honestly easy to check for, and even if you have 3 evidences, most people know when they need to check for a Mimic, because it has 4. Mimics cause chaos, fun games, and are a challenging ghost to face on any map. You may hate the Mimic, but I still have a sense of fear every time I play one, even after all this time. So it has to be where it is on my list. Number 1, Demon. To be honest, I don't even know where to start with the Demon. I don't think many people will argue that it is the hardest and scariest ghost in Phasmophobia. They hunt after just 60 seconds after being smudged, unlike the majority of ghosts that hunt after 90 seconds. But that's not the deadliest part about them. They can hunt when you're at 100% sanity, meaning as soon as you enter the map. I've never prepared for it to be a demon when I'm playing with 100% sanity, and because of this, it has killed me more than any other ghost. You could be planning to have a nice, relaxing game, starting off like normal and looking for the ghost room, and then all of a sudden, the front door slams shut behind you. The only thing that goes through your mind at this point is, oh no, it's a demon, which honestly is a terrifying realization to come to. I've seen a lot of players after realizing this head straight back to the truck out of pure fear. They no longer care about the objectives. They don't want any part of a demon. Demons hunt so frequently that it just makes getting things done so hard, and if you are brave enough to attempt it, you can also expect to die a lot from this ghost. I love the demon. It gives me challenging games and still causes me to panic when I'm not expecting a hunt anytime soon. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope even if you didn't agree with some of these rankings that you at least enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I really enjoyed making this and would appreciate it if you were able to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you next time, and good luck in your future games.